The envelope arrived on a Tuesday morning, and Maya Torres almost threw it away with the rest of the junk mail. She was running late for her shift at the community center. Her coffee had gone cold, and the last thing she needed was another credit card offer or furniture sale advertisement cluttering her tiny apartment. But something made her pause. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, expensive-looking. Her name was handwritten across the front in elegant script. Inside, she found a letter on heavy cardstock and a check that made her hands shake so badly she had to sit down on her worn couch. $5 million, made out to the Riverside Community Center. Signed by someone named James Caldwell. Maya read the letter 3 times, her heart pounding harder with each word. The donation was real, unconditional, no strings attached. The letter was brief, almost cold in its formality, but the impact was staggering. The community center where she had worked for the past 4 years, barely scraping by on grants and donations, suddenly had enough money to not just survive, but thrive. Her phone rang 6 times before her boss, Patricia, answered. "Pat, you need to sit down," Maya said, staring at the check. "Actually, are you sitting? Because this is going to sound insane." 20 minutes later, Maya was in Patricia's office, the check laid out on the desk between them like a winning lottery ticket. Patricia had called the bank. Then she had called their lawyer. Then she had called the bank again. By noon, they had confirmation. The check was legitimate. James Caldwell was real, and he had apparently just saved their community center. "Who is this guy?" Maya asked, searching the name on her phone. "James Caldwell. There are like 1,000 results." Patricia was already ahead of her, pulling up articles on her computer. "Here. James Caldwell, founder and former CEO of Caldwell Enterprises. Oh my God, Maya. Look at this." The article was from a major financial publication, dated just 3 days earlier. The headline made Maya's breath catch. "Billionaire James Caldwell announces complete divestment. Fortune to be distributed to various charities and organizations." The article detailed how James Caldwell, at only 34 years old, had built a manufacturing empire worth over $3 billion, specializing in sustainable building materials and green construction technology. And now, apparently, he was giving all of it away. "This is insane," Maya whispered, scrolling through more articles. "Why would someone do this? Who cares?" Patricia said, though her eyes were misty. "Do you know what this means? We can finally fix the roof. We can expand the after-school program. We can actually pay you and the other staff what you deserve." Maya nodded, but something nagged at her. The letter had been so impersonal, so brief, yet someone had hand-addressed the envelope. Someone had chosen their small community center in a forgotten neighborhood of Cleveland to receive $5 million. "Why? I want to thank him," Maya said suddenly. Patricia looked up. "What? This man just changed everything for us. For all the kids we serve, for the families who depend on our programs. I want to thank him properly, not just send a form letter." Maya, according to these articles, he's probably being bombarded by thousands of people, charities, causes, everyone with their hand out. Then one more won't hurt. Maya's jaw set with determination, the same stubbornness that had kept her working at an underfunded community center when she could have taken easier, better-paying jobs elsewhere. "He chose us for a reason. I want to know why, and I want him to know what his money is going to do." Patricia sighed, but she was smiling. "You're not going to let this go, are you? Not even a little bit?" Finding a way to contact James Caldwell proved harder than Maya expected. His company had a generic email address, but it felt too impersonal. She tried calling the main office, but got stuck in an automated system that led nowhere. Finally, after 2 days of determined searching, She found a press release with the name of his assistant, David Chen. It took 4 more calls before she got through to an actual human being. Mr. Caldwell is not conducting interviews at this time. David's voice was professional but weary. All press inquiries should be directed to. I'm not press, Maya interrupted. I'm calling from the Riverside Community Center in Cleveland. Mr. Caldwell made a very generous donation to our organization, and I wanted to thank him personally. There was a pause. Miss Torres, I appreciate your call, but Mr. Caldwell has made donations to over 200 organizations. He's not available for individual meetings. Then I'll come to wherever he is. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. 5 minutes to say thank you and tell him what his donation means to the people we serve. Miss Torres, please. Maya's voice cracked slightly. I work with kids who have nothing. Kids who come to our center because it's the only safe place they have. Your boss just gave them a future. The least I can do is shake his hand and look him in the eye when I say thank you. Another pause, longer this time. I'll pass along your message. Thank you. That's all I ask. Maya didn't expect to hear back. She threw herself into work, already planning how they would use the donation. She met with contractors about the roof, talked to the city about permits for expansion, and held a staff meeting where everyone cried and hugged and couldn't quite believe their luck. So when her phone rang 5 days later with an unfamiliar number, she almost didn't answer. Miss Torres. The voice was male, deep, and tired-sounding. This is James Caldwell. Maya nearly dropped her phone. Mr. Caldwell, I didn't think you would actually call. My assistant said you were persistent. I respect that. There was a hint of something in his voice, maybe amusement. You wanted to thank me. Consider yourself thanked. The work your center does is important. That's why I chose to donate. But how did you even know about us? We're not exactly famous. A long pause. I did my research. Your outcomes with at-risk youth are impressive. Mr. Caldwell, I really would like to meet you in person. Just 5 minutes. I want to show you what you've given us. Miss Torres, I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm trying to avoid that kind of thing. Public appearances, ceremonies, that's not why I did this. Then don't think of it as public, just you and me. Coffee, anywhere you want, I promise. No cameras, no press, just a conversation. She could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. Why does this matter so much to you? Because actions like yours shouldn't go unacknowledged. Because generosity deserves recognition, even if you don't want it. And because I want to understand why someone would give away everything. Not everything, just money. For most people, that is everything. Another pause. Maya held her breath. There's a coffee shop called Brennan's in downtown Cleveland. Do you know it? I can find it. Tomorrow. 10 in the morning. I'll be at the back table. How will I recognize you? I'll be the one who looks like he hasn't slept in a week. The line went dead. Maya arrived at Brennan's 15 minutes early, her stomach a knot of nerves. She had changed her outfit 3 times, finally settling on dark jeans and a simple blue sweater. Professional but not trying too hard. She had no idea what to expect. The coffee shop was small and quiet, the kind of place that felt like a secret. Exposed brick walls, mismatched furniture, the smell of fresh ground coffee beans. Only a handful of customers scattered throughout. At the back, partially hidden behind a support column, sat a man hunched over a laptop. Maya knew it was him before she got close. There were photos online, but they were all from business events and press conferences. In those pictures, James Caldwell looked polished, confident, untouchable in expensive suits with perfect hair. The man in the coffee shop looked haunted. He was handsome. That much was undeniable. Strong jaw, dark hair that looked like he'd been running his hands through it, broad shoulders under a plain gray Henley. But there were dark circles under his eyes, and when he looked up at her approach, his expression was guarded. "Mr. Caldwell, James, please." He stood up and Maya was surprised by his height, at least 6'2", maybe more. He extended his hand and his grip was firm but brief. "You must be Maya. Thank you for meeting me. I know you're busy." "Actually, I'm not. That's kind of the point." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Can I get you something? The coffee here is decent." "I'm fine, thank you." They sat in awkward silence for a moment. Up close, Maya could see the exhaustion etched into James's face. He looked like a man carrying the weight of the world, which was ironic considering he had just given away a fortune. "You wanted to thank me," James said finally. "So thank me, and then we can both get on with our day." The brusqueness should have been off-putting, but Maya heard something else beneath it. Not rudeness, but pain, like he was barely holding himself together. "The Riverside Community Center serves one of the poorest neighborhoods in Cleveland," Maya began. "We run after-school programs, job training, food assistance, family counseling. Last year we had to cut our hours because we couldn't afford to keep the lights on. We were 3 months away from closing." James watched her, his expression unreadable. "Your donation doesn't just keep us open. It lets us expand. We can serve 3 times as many families. We can hire more counselors, more teachers. We can finally fix our building so it doesn't leak every time it rains." Maya leaned forward. "You didn't just write a check, James. You changed lives, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. I'm glad the money will be put to good use." "That's it. That's all you have to say." He flinched slightly. "What do you want from me, Maya? I want to understand. According to the articles I read, you gave away everything. Your entire fortune. $3 billion. Why? Does it matter?" "Yes. Because money like that doesn't just appear. You built something, you worked for it, and then you gave it all away. Nobody does that without a reason." James was quiet for a long moment, staring into his coffee cup. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Have you ever looked at your life and realized that everything you thought mattered doesn't?" Maya didn't answer, sensing he needed to keep talking. "I spent 15 years building my company. 15 years of 18-hour days, missed birthdays, sacrificed relationships. I told myself it was worth it. That success meant something. That money meant something." He laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "And then one day I woke up and realized I was completely alone. No friends, no family who actually cared about me versus my bank account. Just money, just things. So you gave it away." "So I gave it away." He met her eyes and Maya saw raw honesty there. "I thought maybe if I could do something good with it, it would mean something, that all those years wouldn't have been wasted." "They weren't wasted. Look what you built." "I built a company." "I didn't build a life." The words hung between them. Maya understood then why he looked so exhausted. He wasn't just tired, he was lost. "Can I show you something?" Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos. "This is Marcus. He's 12. Came to us 2 years ago after his mom died. Angry, violent, failing school. We paired him with a mentor, got him into our art program. This is one of his paintings." She showed James a photo of a vibrant mural, full of color and life. "He wants to study art in college now," Maya continued. "Your donation means we can give him a scholarship. We can make sure he actually gets there." She swiped to another photo. "This is Destiny. 16, raising her 2 younger siblings because her dad works 3 jobs. She comes to our center every day after school so they have somewhere safe to be. With your money, we can expand our hours. We can be there when she needs us." Maya showed him photo after photo, kids smiling, families laughing, moments of joy carved out of hardship, and she watched James's face change. The guardedness slipped away, replaced by something softer. "They are all so young," he said quietly. "That's why the work matters. We catch them while there's still time to help, while they still believe things can get better. James nodded slowly. Thank you for showing me this. It helps to see where the money is going. Will you come visit, see it in person? I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because I'm trying to disappear, Maya. I gave away my fortune so I could start over. Figure out who I am without the money, without the company. Visiting beneficiaries and shaking hands defeats the purpose. You can't disappear from yourself. The words seemed to hit him hard. He sat back, studying her with new interest. You're very direct. I work with kids who have been through hell. I don't have time for polite nonsense. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. It transformed his face, making him look younger, more alive. Fair enough. They talked for another hour. Maya told him about her work, about growing up in a neighborhood not much different from the one she now served, about choosing social work over more lucrative careers because she wanted her life to mean something. James listened, really listened, asking questions that showed genuine interest. In turn, he told her about building his company from nothing, about the early days when success felt impossible. About the moment he sold his first major contract and realized he was going to make it. And about the slow, creeping loneliness that came with success, until he looked around and realized everyone in his life wanted something from him. Except you, he said suddenly. You already got your donation. You have nothing else to gain from this conversation. Maybe I just like talking to you. The words surprised them both. Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks, but she didn't look away. There was something about James that drew her in. Beneath the exhaustion and pain, she sensed a good person, someone who had lost his way but was trying to find it again. I should go, James said, but he didn't move. I'm sure you have work. I have a few more minutes, Maya smiled. Unless you're sick of me, I'm not. The admission seemed to cost him something. This is the first real conversation I've had in months, maybe years. Then stay. So he did. They talked until the lunch crowd started filtering in, until the barista began giving them pointed looks about taking up a table. Finally, reluctantly, they gathered their things and walked outside into the bright spring afternoon. Thank you, James said, for tracking me down. For forcing me to meet you. I didn't realize how much I needed to talk to someone. You can call me anytime if you need to talk. I'd like that. He pulled out his phone. What's your number? They exchanged information, and Maya tried not to think about how much she wanted him to actually use it. This was about gratitude, about connection, not about the way her stomach flipped when he smiled at her, or how his presence made her feel more alive than she had in months. Take care of yourself, James. You too, Maya. She watched him walk away, hands in his pockets, shoulders hunched against the world, and she knew with absolute certainty that she was going to see him again. The text came 3 days later. This is probably weird, but do you want to have dinner? Not about the donation. Just as people, you can say no. I'll understand. James. Maya read the message 5 times, her heart racing. She had been thinking about him constantly since their coffee meeting. Wondering if he was okay, if he had anyone to talk to, hoping he would reach out. She typed back quickly before she could overthink it. Not weird at all. When and where? They met at a small Italian restaurant in a quiet neighborhood. Not fancy, but cozy and intimate. James was already there when Maya arrived, standing when she approached the table. He looked better than last time. Still tired, but he'd shaved and his eyes had a bit more life in them. You came, he said, and there was relief in his voice. Did you think I wouldn't? I wasn't sure. I know I'm not exactly great company right now. You're doing better than you think. They ordered wine and pasta, and the conversation flowed easier this time. James asked about her work, and Maya found herself telling him stories about the kids at the center. The small victories and heartbreaking setbacks. He listened with his full attention, asking thoughtful questions, laughing at her funny stories. "You really love what you do," he observed. "I do. Even on the hard days, especially on the hard days." Maya twirled her pasta. "What about you? Do you miss running your company?" James considered the question. "I miss the early days, when it was just me and a handful of people who believed in the vision, before it got big and complicated, before every decision involved lawyers and boards and shareholders." "What's stopping you from starting small again? Building something new?" "Fear, mostly. What if I just repeat the same mistakes? What if I'm not capable of doing anything different? You gave away $3 billion. I think you're capable of change." He smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. "You have a lot of faith in people. I have faith in you." The words hung between them, charged with meaning. James reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. The touch was brief but electric. "I'm really glad I met you, Maya. I'm glad you donated to my community center." They both laughed, and the tension eased, but something had shifted, something beyond gratitude or friendship. Maya felt it in the way James looked at her, in the way her heart sped up when he smiled. This was dangerous territory. She barely knew him. But it felt right in a way she couldn't explain. They talked until the restaurant began closing down around them. James insisted on paying, then walked her to her car. The night was cool, stars barely visible through the city lights. "Can I see you again?" James asked. "Not in a few days. Soon." "Tomorrow, maybe," Maya's breath caught. "I'd like that. I know this is moving fast. I know I'm a mess right now. But being around you makes me feel like maybe I can figure things out, like maybe there's a point to all of this." "James." Maya turned to face him fully. "You don't need me to give your life meaning. You need to find that yourself. I know. But maybe you can help me look." He was standing close now, close enough that Maya could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. Every instinct told her to step back, to keep this professional, but her heart had other ideas. "Tomorrow," she said softly. "Call me tomorrow." "I will." He did. And the day after that, and the day after that, they fell into a pattern. Coffee in the mornings before Maya went to work. Lunch when she could steal away. Long dinners that stretched into the night. They talked about everything. James's childhood in a middle-class family, his father who died when he was young, his mother who remarried someone more interested in her inheritance than her. Maya's parents who still lived in the house she grew up in, her younger brother in law school, her grandmother who taught her to see the good in people. "Your family sounds amazing," James said one evening as they walked along the waterfront. It had been 2 weeks since their first dinner, and Maya could see the changes in him. He smiled more. The shadows under his eyes had faded. He stood straighter, carried himself with more confidence. "They are. Loud and chaotic, but amazing. You should meet them sometime." The words slipped out before Maya could stop them. She held her breath, worried she had pushed too far too fast. But James just squeezed her hand. "I'd like that. If you're sure they want to meet the weird guy who gave away his fortune. They're going to think you're crazy, but in a good way." James laughed, and the sound made Maya's heart soar. She had done that. She had helped bring joy back into his life. But somewhere along the way it had stopped being about helping and started being about something else. Something deeper and more complicated. She was falling for him. Hard. And that terrified her. "Maya," James stopped walking, turning to face her. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, I'm fine." "You're a terrible liar." He cupped her face gently. "Talk to me." "I'm scared," she admitted. "This is happening so fast. A month ago I didn't know you existed. Now I can't imagine my day without talking to you. That's scary." "It scares me too. I've never felt this way about anyone." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "But I'm tired of running from things that scare me. I've been doing that my whole life. I don't want to do it anymore." What do you want? This. Whatever this is becoming. Maya's breath caught. James. I know I'm still figuring my life out. I know I don't have much to offer right now. No company, no real plan for the future, just me. But if you're willing to take a chance, Maya kissed him. It was soft and sweet and perfect. His arms came around her, pulling her close, and Maya melted into him. This was right. This was real. All her fears evaporated in the warmth of his embrace. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, James rested his forehead against hers. That was unexpected, he murmured. Good unexpected or bad unexpected. Very, very good. They stood there for a long moment, wrapped up in each other, the city moving around them. Maya felt like they were in a bubble, separate from the world. Just the two of them and this fragile, beautiful thing growing between them. Come on, she said finally, taking his hand. Let's get out of here. Where are we going? My place. I want to show you something. James raised an eyebrow and Maya laughed. Not that. Get your mind out of the gutter. I want to show you what your donation is already doing. Maya's apartment was small but cozy. Books everywhere, photos covering the walls, plants on every available surface. She saw James taking it all in as she made tea, watching him examine her life through her belongings. This is very you, he said, picking up a framed photo of her with a group of kids from the center. Messy and chaotic, warm, alive, full of people you care about. Maya brought over her laptop, pulling up a folder of photos and documents. The contractors start on the roof next week. We've hired 3 new staff members. We're expanding our food program to serve dinner 5 nights a week instead of 3. She scrolled through images of smiling faces, new supplies, plans for renovation. This is what you did, James. This is real. He was quiet, studying each photo with intense focus. It doesn't feel real yet. The money was just numbers in an account, but these faces, this matters. You matter. You made this happen. We made this happen. If you hadn't tracked me down, hadn't forced me to see what the donation meant, I'd still be sitting alone in a hotel room somewhere, wondering if I made the right choice. Did you make the right choice? James looked at her, and the intensity in his gaze made her heart skip. Yes, not just because of this. He gestured at the laptop. Because it brought me to you. Maya closed the laptop, setting it aside. I need you to understand something. I didn't seek you out because I wanted anything from you. I don't care about your money or your company or any of that. I care about you. The person. The man sitting in front of me who's trying to figure out who he is. I know. That's why I'm falling for you. The admission hung in the air between them. Maya's breath caught. Say something, James said quietly. Please. I'm falling for you too, and it terrifies me. Why? Because I've seen what happens when people rush into things, when they mistake intensity for love. I don't want that for us. I want this to be real. James reached for her hand. This is the most real thing I've ever felt, but I understand if you need time, if you need me to slow down. I'm not going anywhere. I don't want you to slow down. I just want us to be careful, to do this right. Then we'll do it right. Whatever that means. They talked until 3 in the morning, curled up on Maya's couch, about their fears and hopes and dreams for the future. James told her about his plans to travel, to see parts of the world he'd been too busy to visit. To maybe find something new to build, but smaller this time, more meaningful. Maya told him about her dream of opening more community centers, of expanding their model to other cities, about the novel she'd been writing in stolen moments for the past 2 years, about wanting to make a difference but sometimes feeling like she was barely keeping her head above water. You're doing more than you realize, James said. The kids at your center, they're going to remember you for the rest of their lives. You're giving them hope. That's everything. Is that what I gave you? Hope. You gave me a reason to keep trying, To believe that life could be more than just accumulating wealth or achievement. You showed me what actually matters." They fell asleep there on the couch, wrapped in each other's arms. And when Maya woke up in the early morning light, James still sleeping beside her, she felt a peace she hadn't known she was missing. This was right. This was real. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The weeks that followed were a blur of joy and discovery. James and Maya spent every possible moment together. He came to the community center, meeting the kids and staff, rolling up his sleeves to help paint the newly renovated rooms. Maya watched him light up as he worked, saw him laugh with the teenagers, patiently help the younger kids with their homework. "You're good at this," she told him one evening as they cleaned up after a particularly messy art class. "At what? Getting covered in paint. At connecting with people. At being present. These kids adore you. They adore you. I'm just following your lead." But Maya saw something shift in James during those visits, a sense of purpose returning. He started talking about ideas for programs, ways to support the center beyond the initial donation. Not with money, but with time and expertise. "I could teach a business class," he suggested one night over dinner. "Help the older kids understand entrepreneurship, financial literacy. Stuff I wish I'd known at their age. They'd love that, but are you sure? That's a real commitment." "I want to make commitments, to this place, to these kids, to you." He reached across the table for her hand. "I'm done running, Maya. I want to build something here, a life, a real one. What about your plans to travel, to figure yourself out?" "I can figure myself out right here. With you." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." They were in her apartment a few nights later when James's phone rang. He glanced at it, his expression darkening. "It's my mother. I should take this." Maya stepped into the bedroom to give him privacy, but she could hear his side of the conversation through the thin walls. "No, Mother, I'm not coming to the wedding. Because I don't want to watch you marry another man who's using you. Yes, I'm aware that's harsh. Because someone needs to be honest with you." A long pause. "I don't care what the family thinks. I haven't cared about that for a long time. No, I'm not going to change my mind about the money. It's done. It's gone. You'll have to find another source of funding for your lifestyle." Another pause, longer this time. "I'm in Cleveland, if you must know. I'm happy here. Yes, I know that's hard for you to believe, but it's true. I have to go. Take care of yourself." He hung up and Maya heard the soft thud of his phone hitting the couch. She waited a moment before rejoining him. James was sitting with his head in his hands. Maya sat beside him, rubbing gentle circles on his back. "My mother thinks I've lost my mind," he said without looking up. "She's been calling for weeks. I've been ignoring her, but I figured I should finally answer." "What did she say?" "The usual. That I'm being irresponsible, that I've thrown away my legacy, that the family is ashamed of me." He laughed bitterly. "She's really upset that I won't fund her upcoming wedding. That's what she's actually calling about. She needs money." "I'm sorry. Don't be. I should have cut ties years ago. But I kept hoping she'd change, that she'd actually care about me as a person instead of a bank account." He finally looked up and his eyes were red. "You want to know the real reason I gave away everything? Tell me." "Because I looked at my life and realized that every single person in it was there for my money. My mother, my so-called friends, every woman I dated, they all wanted something. I was just a means to an end." His voice cracked. "I was so lonely, Maya. I had billions of dollars, and I was completely alone." Maya pulled him into her arms, holding him as he finally let himself break down. She felt his tears on her shoulder, felt the way his body shook with emotion he'd been holding back for too long. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. "I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Promise? I promise." They stayed like that for a long time, wrapped up in each other, and Maya realized that she wasn't just falling for James anymore. She had fallen, completely and irrevocably. This man who had given away everything was giving her his heart, and she was giving him hers in return. "I love you," she said softly. James pulled back, searching her face. "What? I love you. I know it's fast and probably crazy, but I love you." He kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of everything he couldn't say. When they finally broke apart, he was smiling through his tears. "I love you too. God, Maya, I love you so much." They made love for the first time that night, slow and tender and perfect. Maya felt like they were sealing a promise, binding themselves together in a way that went beyond words. Afterward, they lay tangled in her sheets, mapping the planes of each other's bodies, whispering secrets in the darkness. "I want to meet your family," James said. "Officially, as your boyfriend." "Is that okay? Are you ready for that? They're a lot. I want to be part of your life. All of it." So the following Sunday, Maya brought James home. Her parents lived in a small house in the suburbs, the kind of place where neighbors knew each other's names and kids played in the streets. James was visibly nervous as they walked up the driveway, and Maya squeezed his hand. "They're going to love you. Just be yourself." "What if myself isn't good enough?" "It is, I promise." Maya's mother, Alina, answered the door before they could knock. She was a small woman with bright eyes and her daughter's warm smile. She took one look at James and pulled him into a hug. "You must be the famous James. Come in, come in. We've heard so much about you." Inside, the house smelled like home cooking and was full of noise. Maya's father, Roberto, was arguing about football with her brother, Miguel. Her grandmother, Abuela Rosa, was stirring something on the stove. Everyone stopped when they entered. "Everyone, this is James," Maya announced. "James, this is my family." The next few hours were a beautiful chaos. James was folded into the family with an ease that made Maya's heart swell. He listened to her father's stories about the old neighborhood, helped her mother set the table, let Abuela Rosa teach him how to make her special sauce. Miguel grilled him about his business background, but with genuine interest rather than suspicion. "You really gave it all away?" Miguel asked over dinner. "Just like that." "It wasn't that simple," James admitted. "It took months of planning, working with lawyers and financial advisors." "But yes, I gave it away." "Why?" Roberto asked. "Most people spend their lives trying to build wealth. You had it and just walked away." James glanced at Maya before answering. "Because I realized that having everything meant nothing if I had no one to share it with. I was successful and miserable. Something had to change." "And now," Alina asked gently, "now I'm happy. For the first time in years, I'm actually happy because of your daughter." Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks, but her mother was beaming. "She's special, our Maya," Abuela Rosa said. "She has a good heart. Always has, even as a little girl, always bringing home strays and broken things to fix." "Abuela," Maya protested, but everyone was laughing. "I'm not a stray," James said, grinning. "Though I was definitely broken. She did fix me, though. She's still fixing me." "Good," Roberto said. "She deserves someone who appreciates her, someone who sees what she's worth." "I do. I promise you I do." The approval in her father's eyes made Maya want to cry. She had never brought anyone home before, too focused on her work to seriously date. But James fit here like he'd always been part of the family, like he belonged. Later, as they were leaving, Alina pulled Maya aside. "He's a good man," she said quietly. "Hurting, but good. You love him." "I do, Mama, and he loves you. I see it in how he looks at you. Like you're the sun and he's been living in darkness." Alina cupped Maya's face. "Be happy, Mija. You deserve this." In the car, James was quiet. Maya worried that the evening had been too much, that her loud, loving family had overwhelmed him. But when she looked over, he was smiling. "That was incredible," he said. "Your family is incredible. They liked you. I like them. Is it weird that I'm jealous? That I wish I'd grown up with that kind of warmth? It's not weird. But you have it now. They've adopted you. That's how my family works. If you're important to me, you're important to them. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you." Maya pulled over, turning to face him. "Stop saying that. You deserve to be loved, James. You deserve to be happy. And if you don't believe that yet, then I'll believe it for both of us until you do." He kissed her then, pouring everything he felt into it. And Maya knew with absolute certainty that this was forever. Spring turned into summer. James started teaching his business class at the community center, and it became one of their most popular programs. He had a gift for making complex concepts understandable, for inspiring kids who had never imagined they could be entrepreneurs. Maya watched him flourish, saw him find purpose and joy in helping others. They moved in together in July, finding a small house with a yard where Maya could finally have a proper garden. It was modest compared to what James had owned before, but he loved it in a way he'd never loved his penthouse apartments or vacation homes. "This is ours," he said as they unpacked boxes. "Not just mine, ours. That's new for me." "Get used to it," Maya teased, "because I'm not going anywhere. Good, because I have a question." Maya looked up from the box she was unpacking to find James down on one knee, holding a simple but beautiful ring. "Maya Torres, you changed my entire life. You showed me what actually matters. You gave me a reason to keep going when I had given up. You made me believe in love and family and hope. I can't imagine spending another day without you. Will you marry me?" Maya's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Yes. Yes, of course, yes." He slid the ring on her finger, then swept her into his arms, both of them laughing and crying at once. They spun around the half-unpacked living room, and Maya had never felt more certain of anything in her life. They were married that fall in a small ceremony at the community center. Maya's family filled half the seats, while the kids from the center filled the other half. James had no family there, except for a distant cousin who had stayed in touch, but he didn't seem to mind. He had told Maya that the people at the center were his family now, and she loved him even more for meaning it. Patricia officiated, her voice breaking as she talked about fate and second chances, about two people who found each other against all odds and built something beautiful. "James came into our lives with a gift," Patricia said. "Money that changed everything for this organization. But he gave us something more valuable than dollars. He gave us himself, his time, his energy, his heart. And Maya gave him something in return. A home, a purpose, a reason to believe in the goodness of people again." Maya and James exchanged their vows through tears. James promised to love her, support her, and never take her for granted. To be the man she believed he could be. Maya promised to stand beside him, to push him when he needed pushing, to believe in him even when he doubted himself. "You changed everything," James said, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved my life, and I'm going to spend the rest of mine making sure you never regret it." "I could never regret you," Maya whispered. "You're my home." They kissed to thunderous applause and cheers from the kids. Marcus, the young artist Maya had told James about months ago, had painted a mural as their wedding gift. It covered one wall of the center, depicting a sunrise over the city with the words "Hope starts here" in brilliant colors. "You did this for us?" Maya asked, hugging him tight. "You and James did it first," Marcus said. "You gave all of us hope. This is just my way of saying thank you." The reception was simple but perfect. Music and dancing, food that Alina and Abuela Rosa had spent days preparing, speeches that made everyone laugh and cry. Miguel gave a toast about how his sister had always been the one who believed in miracles, and how she'd found her own miracle in the most unexpected place. To Maya and James, he raised his glass. May your love continue to change lives, starting with your own. As the evening wore on, Maya found herself standing with James on the center's newly renovated rooftop. They could see the city spread out before them, lights twinkling in the darkness. "Happy?" James asked, his arm around her waist, deliriously. "You, more than I ever thought possible." He turned to face her. "Do you remember when you first asked me why I donated my fortune? Of course. I gave you some answer about realizing my life was empty, about wanting to do something meaningful, and that was true, but it wasn't the whole truth." "What's the whole truth?" James took a deep breath. "The night before I made the decision, I was sitting in my office, looking at all these numbers on a screen, billions of dollars, and I thought about jumping, just ending it all." Maya's breath caught, but James kept talking. "I had everything the world says you should want. Money, success, power. But I was so miserable I wanted to die. And I realized that if I felt that way with everything, maybe everything wasn't what mattered. So I decided to get rid of it, all of it, to see if I could find something real." "James, I'm telling you this because I want you to understand. When you tracked me down, when you insisted on meeting me, when you showed me what my money was doing for actual people, you gave me the answer I was looking for. You showed me what was real, and then you became what was real to me." His voice broke. "You changed everything, Maya. You literally saved my life." Maya was crying now, holding him tight. "You saved mine too. I didn't even know I needed saving, but you did. You made me believe in love stories, in happy endings." They stood there for a long time, wrapped in each other's arms under the stars. And Maya thought about how strange and beautiful life was. How a single donation had led to a phone call, which led to a coffee date, which led to falling in love. How giving everything away had allowed James to find what really mattered. "What are you thinking about?" James asked softly. "How lucky we are, how easily this could have never happened." "But it did happen. You made sure of it. You refused to let me hide." "I'm glad I did." "Me too. Every single day, I'm glad." 2 years later, Maya stood in the newly opened Caldwell Community Center in Detroit, watching James cut the ribbon. It was their third center, following successful openings in Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. They had used James's business expertise and Maya's passion for service to create a model that actually worked, that could be replicated and sustained. James had started a new company, but this time it was different. Smaller, focused on social impact rather than pure profit. He consulted with nonprofits and community organizations, helping them maximize their resources and expand their reach. He was building something again, but this time with purpose beyond wealth. Maya had taken a step back from day-to-day operations at the original Riverside Center, though she still taught classes and mentored staff. She was writing now, working on a book about community development and social change. And she was pregnant with their first child, a daughter they planned to name Alina after Maya's mother. "You're glowing," Patricia said, joining Maya at the back of the room. "Marriage and motherhood suit you. I'm happy. Happier than I ever thought I could be. You both are, you can see it." Patricia smiled. "You know, when you first told me you were going to track down James Caldwell, I thought you were crazy, but you saw something in him. You knew he needed help, even before he knew it himself. I just wanted to say thank you. I had no idea it would turn into all this." The best things in life are the ones we don't plan for. James finished his speech and caught Maya's eye across the room. The smile he gave her was pure joy, the kind that came from deep contentment. He had kept his promise. He had become the man she believed he could be. Better yet, he had become the man he wanted to be. After the ceremony, they walked through the neighborhood hand in hand. It reminded Maya of Riverside, the same kind of forgotten corner of the city where people were just trying to survive. "We're making a difference," James said. "Real, measurable difference. Did you see the data Patricia showed me? Crime is down 15% in the Riverside neighborhood since we expanded our programs. High school graduation rates are up. That's real impact. You sound surprised. I guess I am. For so long, success meant profit margins and stock prices. But this feels like actual success. It is. You're changing lives, James. You're giving people hope and opportunity. That's everything." They stopped at a small park, sitting on a bench while the sun set. Maya rested her head on James's shoulder, his hand gently rubbing her growing belly. "I've been thinking about my mother lately," James said quietly. "She called again last week. I didn't answer. Do you want to? Part of me does. Part of me wants to tell her about you, about the baby, about everything we've built. But I know she won't understand. She'll just see it as me wasting my potential. Maybe she'd surprise you. Maybe," James sighed. "I'll think about it, but not today. Today is perfect and I don't want to ruin it. Every day with you is perfect, even when I'm being difficult, especially then. It means you're being real." James kissed the top of her head. "I love you, Ma Caldwell. I love you too." Their daughter was born in early spring, arriving 3 weeks early in a flurry of excitement and chaos. James was there for every moment, holding Maya's hand, whispering encouragement, crying when he first held their baby girl. "She's perfect," he whispered, staring at Alina's tiny face. "How do we make something so perfect?" "Teamwork," Maya said, exhausted but elated. James couldn't stop smiling. He held Alina like she was made of glass, studying every detail of her tiny features. "Hi, sweetheart. I'm your dad, and I promise I'm going to do this right. I'm going to be there for every moment. Every dance recital and soccer game and school play. Every triumph and failure. I'm going to love you and your mom with everything I have." "You already do," Maya said softly. They brought Alina home to a house full of love. Maya's parents came to help, filling the space with warmth and laughter and home-cooked meals. Miguel brought gifts and terrible dad jokes. Even some of the teenagers from the center stopped by, cooing over the baby and offering awkward congratulations. James threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to everything. He changed diapers, walked the floors during the 3 a.m. feedings, read stories even though Alina was too young to understand them. Maya watched him with their daughter and fell in love with him all over again. "You're a natural," she told him one evening as he rocked Alina to sleep. "I'm terrified I'm going to mess this up." "You won't. You're already an amazing father." "I want to be. I want to give her everything I didn't have. Not money or things, but love, security. The knowledge that she's valued for who she is, not what she can do or provide. She'll have all of that. We'll make sure of it." When Alina was 3 months old, James finally called his mother. Maya listened from the next room as he told her about getting married, about the baby, about the life he had built. His voice was cautious but hopeful. The conversation didn't go well. Maya could hear it in the tightness of James's voice when he came to find her. "She hung up on me," he said, sitting heavily on the couch. "After I told her about Alina, she said I was being selfish, that I had thrown away my birthright for a fantasy. Then she hung up." Maya set Alina in her bouncer and wrapped her arms around James. "I'm sorry. I'm not really. I gave her a chance to be part of our life and she rejected it. That's on her, not me." He looked down at their sleeping daughter. "Alina is never going to wonder if I love her. She's never going to feel like a burden or a disappointment. I'm going to make sure of that. I know you will." "You know what the funny thing is? I don't need my mother's approval anymore. I have everything I need right here. You and Alina, our family, the work we're doing. That's what matters, not what she thinks. You've come a long way from the man I met in that coffee shop. That man was lost. Broken, you put him back together. We put each other back together. James kissed her deep and slow. Best decision I ever made was answering when you called. Well, second best. Best decision was giving away that fortune, because it led me to you. Time moved forward in the beautiful, chaotic way it does when life is full. Alina grew from a baby into a toddler, bright and curious and full of life. James and Maya opened 2 more community centers, expanding their model and their impact. They hired staff they trained personally, ensuring that the values they believed in were embedded in every program. Marcus, the young artist who had painted their wedding gift, got a full scholarship to art school. Destiny, the teenage girl raising her siblings, graduated high school with honors and enrolled in college. Story after story of lives changed, futures brightened, hope restored. And through it all, Maya and James built their life together. Not perfect, but real. They argued about silly things like whose turn it was to do dishes. They supported each other through hard days and celebrated the good ones. They grew together, 2 people who had found each other at exactly the right time. On their 5th wedding anniversary, they returned to the coffee shop where they first met. Brennan's hadn't changed much, still cozy and quiet with mismatched furniture and the smell of fresh coffee. They sat at the same back table where they had first talked, and Maya couldn't help but smile at the memory. "You remember what you said to me that day?" she asked. "I said a lot of things, mostly depressing things about my empty life. You said you'd given away your fortune to see if you could find something real. I did say that. I was so lost then. And now," James reached across the table for her hand, the same gesture he'd made 5 years ago, but now his eyes were clear, his smile genuine. "Now I found it. Real love, real purpose, real happiness. Everything I was looking for was right here, waiting for me to be brave enough to accept it. I'm proud of you, of who you've become. I'm proud of us, of what we've built together." They talked for hours, reminiscing about their journey. The awkward first dates, the moment they knew they were falling in love, the wedding, Alina's birth, every milestone and memory. And Maya realized that this was what happily ever after looked like. Not perfect or easy, but real and true and worth fighting for. "You know what I've been thinking about," James said as they walked back to their car. "Starting a foundation, something bigger than the community centers, something that could create lasting change. Tell me more." "I've been consulting with nonprofits for years now, and I keep seeing the same problems. Good organizations struggling because they don't have resources or expertise. Amazing people doing incredible work, but burning out because they're trying to do everything alone. What if we created something that could support them, provide funding, training, mentorship, build a network of people committed to real change?" Maya felt excitement building. "The Caldwell Foundation. I was thinking the Torres Caldwell Foundation. This is as much yours as mine. I love it. And I love you for still dreaming big. I learned that from you. You dream big every day. You look at struggling kids and see future artists and entrepreneurs and leaders. You see potential where others see problems. That's the kind of vision I want to bring to this." They spent the next year making it happen. James used his connections and business acumen to structure the foundation properly. Maya brought her understanding of community needs and grassroots organizing. Together, they created something powerful, a force for good that would outlast them both. The Torres Caldwell Foundation launched with a mission to support community-based organizations working with at-risk youth. They provided grants, training, and mentorship, helping small programs grow into sustainable organizations. And they did it all with the values that had brought them together: authenticity, compassion, and a belief in human potential. On the night of the launch party, surrounded by family and friends and the people whose lives they had touched, Maya stood beside James and felt overwhelming gratitude. Not for the money or the recognition, but for the journey. For the way two broken people had found each other and built something beautiful. Speech, speech. Someone called out and James reluctantly took the microphone. "I'm not great at these," he admitted, and everyone laughed. "But I want to say something. 10 years ago, I was the CEO of a billion-dollar company and I was miserable. I had everything the world says you should want, but I was empty inside. So I gave it all away. People thought I was crazy. My family disowned me. The business world couldn't understand it." He paused, looking directly at Maya. "But then I met someone who changed everything. Maya Torres walked into my life with her determination and her big heart and her refusal to let me hide. She showed me what actually matters, not money or success or achievement, but love, purpose, connection. She gave me a reason to keep going, and then she gave me a family and a life worth living." Maya felt tears streaming down her face as James continued. "This foundation exists because Maya taught me that real wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in lives touched, in hope restored, in futures brightened. Every kid who walks through the doors of our community centers, every family who finds support when they need it most, that's the legacy I want to leave. Not buildings with my name on them or numbers in a bank account, but actual human impact." He held up his glass. "So here's to Maya, who saved my life in every way that counts, and here's to all of you who are helping us spread that gift to others. Thank you for being part of this journey." The room erupted in applause, but Maya only had eyes for James. He made his way back to her and she threw her arms around him. "That was beautiful," she whispered. "It was true, every word. I love you so much. I love you too. Forever." Alina tugged on James's sleeve and he scooped her up. She was 5 now, smart and sweet with her mother's compassion and her father's determination. "Daddy, why is everyone crying?" she asked. "Because they're happy, sweetheart. Sometimes people cry when they're really happy. Are you happy?" James looked at Maya, then at his daughter, then at the room full of people working to make the world better. "I'm the happiest man alive." Years continued to pass, each one bringing new challenges and triumphs. Alina grew into a remarkable young woman, eventually bringing her younger brother Leo into the world when she was 7. Maya and James poured their love into their children, into their work, into each other. They never forgot where they came from. The original Riverside Community Center remained the heart of their operation, the place where it all began. James still taught his business class every Tuesday. Maya still mentored young staff members, passing on everything she had learned. And on quiet evenings, they would sit on their porch and talk about the journey, about how a single act of generosity had changed everything, about how finding each other had saved them both. "You ever regret it?" Maya asked one evening, years after that first donation. They were older now, gray threading through their hair, laugh lines marking their faces. "Giving it all away," James didn't even hesitate. "Not for a single second. That money was killing me. It made me someone I didn't want to be. Giving it away let me become who I was meant to be." "And who's that?" "Your husband. Alina and Leo's father. Someone who makes a real difference. Someone who knows what actually matters." He took her hand, the same gesture they'd shared thousands of times over the years. "You changed everything, Maya. You showed me that love and purpose are worth more than any fortune, that a life lived in service to others is the only life worth living. We changed each other. We saved each other. We did. Best team I've ever been part of." As the sun set over the neighborhood they had helped transform, Maya leaned against James and smiled. This was the happily ever after she had never dared to dream of. Not perfect, but real. Not easy, but worth it. They had built a life on love and purpose, and it was more valuable than any billion-dollar company could ever be. "You changed everything," Maya had said to James once, years ago, trying to understand why he had donated his entire fortune. And he had answered with the truth that would define the rest of their lives together, "Because I was looking for something real, and I found it in you." That was the story they told their children, their grandchildren in years to come. Not about money or sacrifice, but about love. About how two people found each other in the midst of their brokenness and built something beautiful. About how the best investment James Caldwell ever made wasn't in building materials or construction technology, but in taking a chance on connection. In saying yes to coffee with a persistent social worker who refused to let him hide. The Torres Caldwell Foundation continued to grow and thrive, outlasting its founders and touching countless lives. Community centers bearing their name opened across the country, each one a testament to their belief in human potential and the power of love. But for Maya and James, the real measure of success was simpler. It was in the morning coffee they shared before the kids woke up. In the inside jokes that made them laugh after decades together. In the way they still held hands when they walked. In the life they had built together, brick by brick, choice by choice, act of love by act of love, James had given away his fortune to find meaning. And in the process, he had found everything that actually mattered. Not in boardrooms or bank accounts, but in the eyes of the woman who had seen him when he was lost and loved him anyway. Who had shown him that true wealth is measured in the people you love, the lives you touch, and the legacy of kindness you leave behind. That was the real story. That was the happy ending, not because everything was perfect, but because it was real. And real, Meyer and James had learned, was the most valuable thing of all.